Hello everyone, welcome to Trades Talk Tuesday. I'm your host Pop, and busy day for Pop today. Going from stream to stream. Just finished a hour-and-a-half long stream with Leon Idle of Words of Paradise, and him and I were chatting about comics and movies and just all the sorts of pop culture stuff from all over the place. From all different decades as well. And I was, happy to show him some of the stuff that was around from the 1940s. Seems like he got a kick out of that, and I hope he'll watch some of those and listen to them. And hello, Joseph Dredd. Happy Tuesday, indeed. It's a good time. Busy day for Pop today. Busy day, but that's okay. And I'd just like to say hello to everyone on Kick, Rumble, and YouTube, as I try to broadcast on all three. And right now, shifting gears to a skilled trades kind of genre. Because they always tell you, talk what you know about, and I like to think I know about the skilled trades. So, first up, let's see here. This. There we go. So we've got first up, as I always do, I look at the news that's going around in industry. You can usually tell how well the economy is doing by what's coming up in the news, which plants are being built or shut down or what's going on. Where is the business? We always want to have a good business so that everyone has a job, everyone working, everyone can live a good life, because that's important. So let's have a look. What does it say here? Cargojet reports second quarter profit and revenue down from year ago mark. This is back on August the 14th. That was yesterday. Economists expect rise in inflation as price growth fight enters a new phase. Unifor Detroit 3 kickoff contract talks amid inflation and EV transition pressures. So I can see a problem coming with the automakers. Not all of the plants are going to be making electric vehicles. There are the plants that make the internal combustion engine vehicles. I don't think they should stop making those. I think it's a good idea if you keep making those. They are cheap to make, and they run on fuel. And as long as you have fuel, you'll have a ways to go. If you run out of electricity, you have to wait to charge. So, until an electric one can get as good a mileage as a internal combustion engine, I don't think it's going to be viable, especially if you live in a place that's very spread out, like the prairies, where, things are far away. You've got to take a vehicle to get there. Coinbase CEO says Canadian crypto regulations are encouraging. Oh, this is not good. Just so you know right now, I am not a big fan of crypto. I think it's a big scam. I don't think you get anything for getting into that. I don't think it's a good idea at all. You are actually physically can hold nothing. Whereas at least if you have a bill in your hand, that means something. You can hang on to it. That's yours. And nobody can just type a few buttons and have it go away on you. I think that's important. Says Coinbase is rolling out Interac e-transfer integration as part of its Canadian offerings. As it says, it's encouraged by the regulatory approach in the country. The added feature, which will make it easier to move money in and out of Coinbase accounts, comes after the company hired Lucas Matheson as country director and ramped up its staff to over 200 engineers in its Toronto and Vancouver offices in the past year. The company says the move signals its commitment to Canada and come at a time when other trading platforms, including Binance, the world's largest crypto platform, have said they were pulling out of the country. Binance, along with Bybit and others, said in May their departure was related to tightening regulations around cryptocurrencies as the Canadian Securities Administrators look to increase oversight in the sector. The CSA rolled out rules earlier this year requiring crypto trading platforms to agree to numerous terms as their registration applications are being reviewed. The umbrella organization is the Umbrella Organization for Provincial Securities Regulators said the move, along with the restrictions on who can invest and in what kind of crypto assets, was prompted by a string of high-profile bankruptcies in the global sector. Coinbase Chief Executive Brian Armstrong says the company has had a positive working relationship with regulators and is encouraged by the direction they're taking. We found the Canadian regulators to be really amenable to work with, and there's a real genuine interest, I think, on both sides to have regulatory clarity about how both consumers can be protected in this environment. Coinbase signed on to the required pre-clearance rules with regulators in March, one of the 11 crypto trading platforms listed to have done so. The CSA lists another 12 crypto trading platforms that have gone through the process and been cleared to do business in Canada. The company's process in Canada has been relatively smooth, but it's facing charges from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission for operating as an unregistered securities exchange. The regulator alleges that Coinbase deliberately refused to follow rules it knew about around registering securities offers. This sounds kind of sus right off the bat. Armstrong said in a statement at the time that the company was proud to represent the industry in court to get clarity around crypto rules. The charges are part of a wider crackdown U.S. regulators have been pushing against cryptocurrency companies, with charges also against Binance and its founder, Changpeng Zhao, a Canadian, along with charges against Celsius Network and its founder. Yeah, there's a China connection in there, it sounds like. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried also faces numerous charges following the collapse of the high-flying crypto trading platform. He was sent to jail Friday after a judge revoked his bail for trying to influence witnesses. Armstrong said these are still the early days for cryptocurrencies, which first emerged in 2009. Greater regulatory certainty will help lay a stronger foundation and allow the further growth of the financial technology, he said. I'm pretty optimistic that we're going to see regulatory clarity emerging similar to what we've seen in Europe, for instance, where comprehensive crypto legislation called MiCA was passed already, and we're seeing similar efforts in the UK, Singapore, Australia, and I think Canada's on a similar path. So they're going to try to crush these other guys out of the way because the government wants their own cryptocurrency that you are going to be forced to use. This is what's going to happen. The governments will have the crypto and force us to use it, and we will not ever be able to save money or give it away or anything like that because it will all be regulated. So here we go. This is getting into financial slavery because as soon as you say something they don't like, they're just going to flip a switch and you won't be able to access your so-called currency. It's a dangerous thing to do. Whatever you can do, everyone, reject it with all your might. Do not fall for this. It's a big, giant scam. The only thing you should ever want is physical money, currency in your hand, physical bullion, gold, silver, and any of the currency they use as notes for it. So please don't fall for this. It is not good. If the government is encouraging it, it is not good. What else we got here? Energy Department announces largest ever investment in carbon removal. That doesn't sound like a good idea. An insider's perspective on the worst blackout in North America 20 years later. Minister launches review of BC port strike case to uncover structural issues. Unifor Detroit 3 contract talks with official handshakes. Number of Americans applying for jobless aid rises, but not enough to cause concern. Biden claims his econ policies are reviving manufacturing, making his case at a wind farm plant. Well, I don't know. Somebody's going to have to tell me if his economic policies are working, because I don't think this guy can even string two sentences together that make sense. Unifor president demands SNC-Lavalin reinstate fired union head. Unemployment rate ticks up to 5.5 in July as job creation lags population growth. Okay, I think we covered that last week. So the one I want to see here is, what's this carbon removal about? Let's see. The Energy Department announced Friday is awarding up to $1.2 billion to 2 projects to directly remove carbon dioxide from the air in what officials are calling the largest investment in engineered carbon removal in history. The process known as direct air capture does not yet exist on a meaningful scale and could be a game changer if it did and were economical. If we deploy this at scale, this technology can help us make serious headway towards our net zero emissions goals while we are still focused on deploying more clean energy at the same time, Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm said in a press conference call. Project Cypress will be built in Calcasieu Parish, Louisiana. South Texas DAC is planned for Clayburgh County, Texas. Each claims it will capture up to 1 million metric tons of carbon dioxide per year initially. A representative of the Texas project said it will scale up to remove 30 million metric tons per year once fully operational. No date was given. Okay. You're going to capture carbon dioxide, and what are you going to do with it? Plants love carbon dioxide. Why are you removing it, so much of it? Officials said the projects will create 5,000 jobs for local workers and people formerly employed in the fossil fuel industry. I have a problem with that. I don't think that oil comes from fossils. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards, who was also on the conference call, said his state, with its experience in petrochemical manufacturing, density of pipelines, and geology, is best suited for projects that tackle carbon. The announcement shows the big bets the Biden administration is making on technologies that capture carbon dioxide from the air and store it underground to address climate change. It's the gas more than any other that is heating the planet. Several scientists agreed with making some investment in direct air capture. You're not going to say who they are. You're just saying some scientists. Claire Nelson, a postdoctoral research scientist at Columbia University's Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory, said moving away from fossil fuels and producing the things we need without emissions are the most important ways to address climate change, but the scale of change needed makes direct air capture necessary as another tool. In order to have direct air capture ready at the scale we need by 2050, we need to invest in it today. No, I don't think we do. That's okay. We don't need to do that. Tim Lewin, Executive Director of the Strategic Energy Institute at the Georgia Institute of Technology, agreed that the pollution from some kinds of heavy industry will need to be addressed through technologies like direct air capture. Okay, pollution is not the same as carbon dioxide. Pollution, they should tackle and get rid of and capture pollution and neutralize it, not carbon dioxide. So people don't get the two terms mixed up. Pollution, air pollution, is not the same as carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is necessary for plants to live, and we all exhale carbon dioxide, but we also take in oxygen. And the trees take in carbon dioxide and they give out oxygen. Pollution is another thing completely. That's all sorts of gases, all sorts of things that mix with the air and the water. You know, like acid rain is like sulfur dioxide mixed in with the clouds and condensing and coming down as acid rain. I think that should be more pressing than capturing carbon dioxide. We need to look at reducing emissions as quickly and as practically possible, said Melissa Lott, Director of Research for the Center of Global Energy Policy at Columbia University. This means more efficiency, more clean energy, and use of other technologies, including carbon management. So more clean energy. What's clean energy? Where do you get your electricity from? Power plant? Maybe it runs on hydroelectric if you're in the right spot. Maybe it's coal-fired. Maybe it's natural gas-fired. You're still using those sources of raw materials for making your electrical energy. Shannon Butcher, professor of chemistry at the University of Oregon, said direct air capture technologies are not yet cost-effective and are worth some investment in research and development. But some others say the technology for sucking carbon dioxide out of the air is still in its infancy. Funding it is misguided, and the focus should be on eliminating emissions. Well, you can do that. You can try to eliminate the emissions. This money could be so much better spent on actual climate solutions that would be cutting emissions from the get-go, said Jonathan Foley, Executive Director of Project Drawdown, a group that publicizes climate solutions, cited energy efficiency and lowering emissions from agricultural, transportation, electricity generation as better approaches. What worries me a lot of other climate scientists is that potentially creates a fig leaf for the fossil fuel industry, the idea that we can keep burning stuff and remove it later. It's still unclear what role direct air capture will play in lowering emissions. There you go. It's unclear what the role direct air capture will play in lowering emissions. Yeah, right there. Establishing technologies like solar, wind, and batteries continue to grow fast. Yeah, I mean, solar, you don't have the wind, or if you don't have the sun out, you're not going to have solar. Wind, it's not always windy. And batteries, you got to make batteries from something. They're not just some magical box. They have elements inside them. Lithium, lithium, like the lithium ion batteries, you're going to have nickel in them, cobalt. These are things you need to dig out of the earth and refine. All right. Stuff like that just gets the blood boiling, because you just know that it's so disingenuous. All it is to control people and take their money away from them and have an excuse to lock them down. An insider's perspective on the worst blackout in North America. Minister launches review of BC port strike. One more let's go for. Biden claims his economic policies are reviving manufacturing, making his case at a wind farm plant. Belen, NM. New Mexico? President Joe Biden declared Wednesday that his economic policies are reviving U.S. manufacturing as he toured the West to drum up support for his efforts on jobs and inflation in the face of voters' doubts. I'm not here to declare victory on the economy. We have a lot more work to do, Biden said. At Arcosa Wind Towers, a facility that once made Solo cups and other plastics but is now shifting to manufacturing wind towers. We have a plan, and it's turning things around. What's your plan? Tell us. Or are you just reading what somebody wrote for you? Arcosa, the president said, was a great example of how the administration's legislative achievements have bolstered jobs and investments in the U.S. The company had to lay off workers in Illinois and Iowa before Biden's Inflation Reduction Act became law last year. But customers placed $1.1 billion in wind tower orders with the company afterward, according to the White House. Stock has risen to more than 20% in the past 12 months. Folks, when I think climate, I think jobs, Biden said, referring to cleaner energy production in his remarks at the plant making wind towers. He pointed to climate-related investments not only at Arcosa, but at major corporations such as General Electric, and added, every one of these companies has pointed to the clean energy law that we originated and I signed for making these investments. The claim from Biden and his White House that the administration has bolstered U.S. manufacturing is backed by a rise in construction spending on new factories. But factory hiring has begun to slow in recent months, a sign that the promised boom has yet to fully materialize. That hasn't stopped the White House from telling voters ahead of the 2024 election that the Democratic president's agenda has triggered a revival of factory work. Hundreds of actions coordinated through this entire government are sparking a manufacturing renaissance across the United States. White House climate advisor Ali Zaidi told reporters ahead of Biden's New Mexico speech. Biden's trip to the Southwest is playing out against the backdrop of his re-election campaign, and as a majority of U.S. adults say they believe the economy is in poor shape, the president is trying to break through pessimism that intensified last year as inflation spiked. His trip included a Tuesday speech in Arizona that will end with remarks Thursday in Utah. In 2020, Biden won both Arizona and New Mexico, key states that he likely needs next year to secure another term. The president does have a case to make to the public on employment, as the U.S. economy has healed from the coronavirus pandemic. Hiring has surged at factories. Manufacturing jobs have climbed to the highest totals in nearly 15 years. This is the first time since the 1970s that manufacturing employment has fully recovered from a recession, expanding by 789,000 jobs since Biden took office. But the pace of job growth at manufacturers has slowed over the past year. Factories have added roughly 500,000 workers annually last summer, a figure that in the government's most recent jobs report fell to 125,000 gains over the past 12 months. Biden administration officials have said there are more factory jobs coming because of the infrastructure spending, investments in computer chip plants, and the various incentives in the Inflation Reduction Act. In April, the Economic Innovation Group, a public policy organization, issued a report that called construction spending for factories a nationwide boom. The report notes that these signs that manufacturing gains are most prominent outside the Midwest, which is historically identified with the sector as more plants open in southern and western states, but EIG is less sure about the full-fledged restoration of manufacturing in the works as the sector has been in decline for decades. Labor Department figures show the total factory employment peaked in 1979 at nearly 19.6 million jobs. With just under 13 million manufacturing jobs now, the U.S. is unlikely to return to that level because of automation and trade. Adam Ozimek, chief economist at EIG, said jobs can be a flawed way to measure a manufacturing revival. He said better metrics include an increase in factory output, whether the U.S. can shift to renewable energy to blunt climate change, and whether the government can achieve its national security goals of having a stronger supply chain. It's way too early to declare anything like a manufacturing renaissance, Ozimek said. We are decades into structurally declining manufacturing employment, and it's not all clear yet whether the positive trends are going to outweigh that continuing headwind. And Jay Timmons, president and CEO of National Association of Manufacturers, argued that federal rules were hampering any benefits of the Biden administration's manufacturing policies. The positive impact of manufacturing investments made during the Biden administration are being undermined by a rising tide of complex and often unbalanced federal regulations, he said. On the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, it's X now. X is what it's called. The Inflation Reduction Act has been the centerpiece of Biden's climate agenda. However, he's been under pressure from some activists and progressives to declare a national climate emergency, something he was asked about in an interview with the Weather Channel while visiting the Grand Canyon in Arizona on Tuesday. Biden said he's already done that, practically speaking, citing the legislative steps and executive action that he's taken. It is the existential threat to humanity, he said. Or it's a big fake-out pipe dream that they're using to control people with. You know, you keep telling everyone there's a climate crisis, a climate crisis, a climate crisis. I guess you tell them that enough times and they're going to believe it. But I've yet to see it. They talked, and people, if they studied history, would know that if they, back in the 1970s, they were talking about us going into an ice age of all things. They didn't talk about global warming. That wasn't until the 80s. And then they started talking about global warming. And now they don't even say things like that. It's just climate change. It's a very broad and generalization for saying things like that. And it's like, you know, I hope people can see through the illusion here. They obviously are just throwing things at the wall to see what they stick. Like the last pandemic, they just kept throwing, because leading up to that, there was, anybody remember SARS? SARS came along, and you know it had an outbreak, and that was it. That ended that, and you know there was the bird flu and swine flu and stuff like that, and then finally they came across this stuff, and they managed. It caught people. People really took off with it, and it's terrible. The lockdowns were horrible for everyone. They were inhumane, and it should never have happened. And they were just doing it to control people of the earth. When you can have the entire earth locked down and vaccinated, that is quite some power you have there. And I got a slow clap for them. Well done. You've managed to panic the entire world. So, please don't fall for it the next time. Okay, moving along. I saw this article here. There's a crisis of technician shortages. This was from August 9th. says here, a new report released by the Motor Vehicle Retailers of Ontario with support from the Canadian Automobile Dealers Association highlights the crisis facing car and truck retailers in Ontario. The shortage of skilled trades and technicians available to work in dealerships. We knew we had a problem because our members were telling us about it, but we didn't know to what extent, said Todd Bourdon, MVRO's executive director, in an interview with Canadian Auto Dealer. With 3,000 skilled trades vacancies, that's a major problem. That's crisis mode. The report, researched and written by MNP, found that as of the first quarter of the year, there are more than 3,000 vacancies in the automotive trades in the province. Before the COOF, there were around 1,500. Between 2016 and 2021, the number of technicians and mechanics aged 15 to 24 years old dropped by 2%, while the 25 to 54 age group was down 8%. The 55-plus group increased by nearly 13%. Just about every new car and truck retailer I speak to can't hire any automotive technicians today. We know there is a massive shortage of automotive technicians, and the problem won't be solved overnight, said Bourdon in a press release to introduce the report. MVRO said that depending on the labor rate, an estimated annual revenue loss for one technician vacancy is $429,000 to $644,000 per year. But the problem isn't just impacting dealer revenues. The report says that with the average wage of automotive service trades being between $60,000 and $80,000 annually, each skilled worker vacancy is costing Ottawa about $7,000 to $10,000 in federal income tax and $3,500 to $5,000 in provincial tax each year. You see that? People not working has a big effect as well because of the taxes they pay. To help fix the problem, MVRO has been actively recruiting skilled technicians from the Philippines. The challenge is the system of getting techs approved and relocated to Canada goes too slowly, and there are needless hurdles and red tape. To fix the problem, we need to recruit overseas, Bourdon told Canadian Auto Dealer. The school system takes up to 3 to 4 years to train someone, and immigration will continue to be a factor to help us solve this. Well, don't just rely strictly on immigration. You make sure you train up the people in the schools. You know, let's get those guys trained up too. Who cares if it takes 3 to 4 years? To bring employees from overseas as part of the Temporary Foreign Worker Program, dealerships have to first undertake what is called Labor Market Impact Assessment, or LMIA, to prove there aren't workers available locally. This takes a lot of time and money, says Bourdon, adding a minimum of 2 to 3 months of delays to getting foreign workers into dealership service base. But this is necessary. Just because they're probably rubbing their hands together thinking then they can bring cheap workers in rather than hiring locally. Don't let them get away with this. Make it so they hire people local first, and then if they can't, then go ahead and bring in someone from another country. Bergen says he hopes the data in the report showing the extent of the problem will help convince the federal government to temporarily waive the LMIA requirements for the auto sector. MVRO estimates 20 to 30%, up to $9,000 of the TFW costs are associated with the LMIA process. Bergen said search for talent is a global one, and countries like New Zealand and Australia, for example, are winning the talent war because candidates can get approval to work there in a matter of months, not a year or 16 months of waiting to get approved to work in Canada. Tim Russ, president and CEO of CATA, said the problem is not Ontario-specific. CATA is pleased to support this report and establish a baseline for what needs to be done in order to solve the ongoing automotive skilled trades labor shortage, he said. Retailers in every province tell me they can create jobs if they could find technicians to fulfill them. Another key reason MVRO conducted the study was to provide a valuable service to their dealer members. It's the first time we've ever done a labor market study in our history. It gives our dealers a data-driven crystal ball so they can plan their talent acquisition. Morgan says the data will also be useful in showing students and other potential skilled workers about the job opportunities in automotive in Canada. The report will soon be available to MVRO members. I mean, good. You know, apparently we need more automotive technicians. So, you like to work on cars? There you go. Skilled trades automotive technician. Try it out. It can be very rewarding. It's a good job. You get paid well. You work in a shop. You know, you have all the tools at your disposal. You have a hoist to use to put the car up in the air. All that good stuff. And that's just light automotive. Like you can get into heavy duty mechanics and all that and work on the big stuff too. Big trucks, big rigs always need work done. And all sorts of things. Loaders, graders, bobcats, all that stuff. So yes, a shortage in automotive technicians. Have a look into it. It's definitely something worth checking out. Okay, before I move along to some pictures, let's go to commercial.
Oh, hey there everybody. How are you? Well, I don't always play video games, but when I do, I make sure to safely make a safety save in a safe environment. And if you don't know how to make a safety save, well then make sure you check out Pop Culture Mechanics, 9 a.m. Mountain Time and 10 a.m. Central on Saturday mornings, where you can learn how to make a safety save that you might be so excited you could dance if you wanna. So, come on and check out Pop Culture Mechanics on Saturday mornings. Going to see you there. Bye.
Finally! Yes! Whew! My God! All right, we're back. So, leaving the shortage of automotive technicians, I'm going to bring up some pictures. Let's see, what do we... Oh, well, here's something that's relatable here. What I'll do is... Okay, first, you go away. You come up. Go. And... Okay, you guys can see that pretty well, I think. There we go. So, we were just talking about automotive technicians. Well, here's one for the automotive repair body shop. This thing, what happened is the guy parked a little too close to a scrap metal bin, and he pulled away and he heard something, and then he panicked and he hit the gas. So it just went scrape, and it just scraped along the whole side of the truck. And look at the damage. Like, that is terrible damage. Like, first of all, you're replacing the box right off the bat. The box has to come off. They've got to repair the door skins, take the door skins off, put those, get new doors. And look at that, even the back support post, that got a large dent in it. Man. So the Trade Stock link shows waiting and live on the comic stream. Son of a... I thought I had everything worked out. Oh, yeah. Doggone it. I go like this.